Hi, my name is Terry. I have 3 college degrees, including a master's degree from an Ivy League university. I'm fluent in 2 languages, and I have a commercial driver's license, which allows me to operate heavy trucks, and I still can't find a job. My girlfriend's been working at a fast food restaurant for the last 9 years, but what she really wants to do is become an elementary school teacher. So every day I'm going to be coming on here and telling you guys stories about things that I think are cool or interesting, and then I'm going to teach you a little bit of Spanish until I can earn enough money to send my girl to teaching school. So, have you ever wondered why some artists become rich and famous while others are virtually unknown? Some famous artists have an incredible talent that is unique to them. One need look no further than Michelangelo's David for this point, which represents a jaw-dropping level of skill. But for every Michelangelo, there's another famous artist who leaves you wondering, how the hell did this guy get famous? We've all had the experience of seeing a piece that's worth millions and thinking, what's so great about that? I mean, it's a nice bowl of fruit, but I've seen paintings of bowls of fruit at my local home goods store that look just as good as that. Or, yeah, that's a pretty painting, but I had a buddy of mine in college who could draw just as well, if not better, and he's no famous artist. So what is it that makes the difference between the guy you went to school with, who was really talented, and an artist who becomes a household name with pieces in museums that are priceless all over the world? Well, to answer this question, I invite you to come with me to take a closer look at the personal lives of 3 of the world's most famous artists: Vincent van Gogh, Claude Monet, and Pablo Picasso. So we start with Van Gogh. His father was one of 11 brothers and sisters, and 4 of his uncles were art dealers, 2 of whom specifically were extremely successful. It was through them that his father became an art dealer as well. Art dealing was the family business, and through his family's connections, he was able to get a job at a very prestigious art firm at just 16 years old. The story of Claude Monet is very similar. The father of Impressionism, his parents sent him to a private school when he was 11 years old. This school employed a critically acclaimed drawing teacher for its students. He had worked with numerous famous artists before and was well known for being able to capture and hold the attention of his pupils. Now, Monet claims to have had no strong connection with this teacher and notes no significant impact that he had on his development. And witness accounts seem to corroborate this, with former classmates saying that he wasn't excited to go to any of his classes, art included. But his fortunate connections don't end there. After the passing of his mother, his aunt took him under her wing. She was an amateur artist, and she knew several artists who would let him use their art studios. His father had a close personal relationship with a successful business owner who agreed to showcase his drawings in the shop windows for his customers. Through that business owner, Monet was introduced to his mentor, a very successful painter named Eugene Boudin. And Boudin taught him how to paint, and through him, Monet was able to book his first public art exhibition. I hope by now you're starting to see a pattern, but if not, we'll move on to our most obvious example, Pablo Picasso. You'll see one of his pieces pictured here behind me. Picasso's father noticed his talent when he was only 9 years old, and he nurtured it. But he didn't just nurture his gift, he was the initiator and primary driving factor behind it. See, the piece that he noticed that was so good when he was 9 years old that made him realize that his son had a gift was actually a recreation. It was drawn by Picasso while looking at another piece that was hanging in their family home. So he was always exposed to art from a very young age. His father was an artist, an art enthusiast, and collector with a prestigious name and was highly respected in the art community in his own right. He taught in high-caliber art schools all over the country, and he put his son into art schools worldwide, including the schools that he taught at. He drilled him endlessly at home in classical techniques, and he booked events for him. He had numerous connections with museum curators, art critics, and journalists. And so what he would do is right before his son's artwork was set to be released, he would time it such that he could call the newspapers to generate hype. And so he would call journalists, art critics, and encourage them to give rave reviews, even going so far as to give them specific buzzwords to use. And so he kept his son hot in the media. And so this pattern begins to emerge where we start to see young, talented artists being promoted not solely based on raw talent, but instead based on what family they were born into and what connections they have. And these are opportunities that other people who are equally or even more talented may not have. And so we discussed 3 of the most prominent and well-known artists today. But do you know of any other artists that may fit this bill as well? What about you? How do you think your life may have been different if you had had the same privileges, opportunities, and connections? So the Spanish I'm going to be teaching you today is Déjame ayudarte. Déjame ayudarte. Déjame ayudarte. And what that means is, let me help you. If you want to learn more about these artists and their rise to fame, be sure to check the other videos on Claude Monet, Vincent van Gogh, and Pablo Picasso on this channel. If you like this video or you learned something new, drop a like down below. If you want to support this work that I do, there'll be a link to the Cashapp in the description box. And if you have a specific topic you'd like to see me cover or do a video on, leave a comment down below. We'll see you next time.